Welcome to another how-to from Advancing Car. So we've been asked on a previous video if we can show how to remove the regulator panel, which involves obviously holding it, releasing the window, holding the window up, and then popping off the regulator panel so you can get in and sound deaden the inside of your door. Obviously, if you just wanted to do a little small area behind your speaker, you can do that just through there, or if you want to do the whole door, which is what I'm going to do today, you need to remove that panel. So just a nice little how-to to show you how that's done. Tools you'll need are trim tool, just to pop out the mounting bolts for the window itself on its regulator bar that comes down, 10mm socket or spanner for undoing all of your 10mm bolts and your ground and things, and also the 10mm that hold the window, and then just some duct tape for holding your window up once we've released it from its clamps. The ignition will have to be on briefly, but as long as you keep all your stuff plugged in, then you shouldn't cause any faults if you haven't got any sort of diagnostic tool or VCDS or anything like that. So right, I've just got a little seat as well just to make life a bit easier. I'll drop the window down partially so we can then see the fixing bolts in here, and I'll get Matt to get a good view in there so you know what you're looking at, and we'll go from there. Right, so I've removed this grommet. We'll do this one now. All you do is you get your trim tool, because it's nice thin rubber, you can just get in, kind of bend it out of the way. This one's a bit easier because obviously I've got my hand in behind the speaker, and then we just pull it out. Simple grommet. Put it somewhere safe because you're going to put them back in once you're done. Right, so I've lowered the window, and if Matt comes in, he can just see the 10mm bolts in there, one there, and one over here. So with our 10mm ratchet, we're just going to undo those. Now you don't need to go crazy and wind them all the way out or anything like that, because all it is it's just a bar that's got two simple clamps on with rubber on to protect the window, and you're just releasing it enough that the glass is then loose in that carrier. And what you can do is you can undo it, and then you can get your finger in there and kind of feel when it's loose, especially on this back one here, and it just means the bolt doesn't come all the way out and the back of the carrier doesn't come off or anything like that, which would just be a pain to sort out. But what we'll do is once we've got the panel fully off, I'll give you a good view of that carrier so you've got an idea of what you're already working with. So let's get those undone. And there we go, I can feel that's just nice and loose. If I get the light in there so you can see. So that's now moving, I'm moving the back of it, and you can see that's moving around. So that'll be nice and loose on the window. You can check this one as well. That doesn't feel too far off. Yeah, and that'll be nice and loose as well. So now with the ignition on, we can raise the window up, and we'll then stick some duct tape over it to hold it, and then slowly drop the grab bar down, so that, and then keeping an eye on the window so that we know that it's not just going to suddenly drop, or it's still being grabbed on one of them slightly. So let's go with that. Right then. So we're going to, I always like to tape pretty far down the window, because obviously the more tape you've got on here, the better grip you're going to have, because obviously we just don't want the window to drop. And then you just stick it on. It doesn't make a mess when you're taking it off, it doesn't leave any sort of residue or anything like that, and it's all easily cleaned off. So we'll stick from here up over the window, keeping everything nice and tight. And you can see where you need to just press it on. There we go. Oh, window's slightly wet just there, but the rest of it's nice and stuck on. Right, so now we should be able to just very slowly lower the window mechanism, and the window will stay there. There we go. Bring those up so you can see them. So there we go. We've now got the window mechanism is back down here. There are our bolts, and our glass is up here. So now we can turn the ignition off, and I'm now going to go around undoing all of these 10mm bolts that are holding the panel in, and also this ground, so that we've got maximum movement for releasing the panel and bringing it off. Once we've done that, we'll also need to pop this little grommet for the door release. I always pop it inside, and then you'll be able to see that I'll be able to feed the panel all the way down to here, and we've got as much room as possible inside the door. Right, so all of those are off now. The only one to maybe kind of bear in mind, just so you don't forget to put it back on, is this one up here has your little ground for your FM antenna that comes out of your mirror. So obviously when you're putting everything back on, just make sure that reattaches there, then you bolt it on. So now we can start to tease the panel off. It's got like a rubber gasket that goes around that will have been stuck on for a while, so just get your trim tool and you can just gradually tease it out a little bit. You'll just hear it coming unstuck. Just work our way around. And then at the top edge, so in a few little places, there'll be sections that want to get kind of coarse and you just have to wiggle it out. But once we've got it out, there we go. So that's now just fully come unstuck. We can now lift it and take it out, and then I'll show you the places they're getting stuck and snagged. And then, as I said, I'm just going to pop this grommet in through this hole here, like that. Now that gives us a nice amount of room to remove. So on that, we lift it up slightly, there we go, because there's some section of the regulator on the back here that was getting caught. So we now get everything out of here. And then we also have a plug that's inside that's going to your latch and everything that we need to unplug. It's going to be tricky for you to see that, so I'll just have to do it and then show you it. There we go. This plug just here. You can just get in it. It's orientated like this, so you can get your hand in, press the tab, release it, and then it comes out. And now, wind that through as much through there as possible. This is the carriers I was talking about, basically, that the glass sits in. So you're undoing the bolts enough that you've got that movement, and then you can wiggle it all out, and then hang it down. Unfortunately, the door release won't actually pop all the way through the hole, so I just tend to allow it to hang, and then I move it out the way as and where I need for, when I need to access whichever areas to sound deaden. The other useful thing about this, taking this panel off if you are going to go in and sound deaden, is that when you remove your speakers on a T6, they are riveted in. So it means you have to drill them out, and therefore the back of the rivet drops into your door. So to stop any unsightly rattles and buzzes and stuff, you can now get in there with a magnet or your hands, depending on how grot it is in there, and you can dig all those out. So I'll get on with that. I'll get on with sound deadening things, and then we'll come back a bit later for just reseating the panel, really. It's basically the reverse of what you did before. You've got a couple of guide pins that locate in various holes, and you just carefully do what you did before, in the reverse. So yeah, I'll just crack on now. Right, so I've finished all my sound deadening inside the door. Obviously there's some areas you can't quite get to due to various bits and pieces that are in there, but you can, if you get your hand in, you can squeeze it in and press it down where you need to, roller it as well. And then obviously down the bottom of the door where there's wax covering and general dirt and muck, it's difficult to get anything to stick in there, even if you give it a real good clean. But to be honest, kind of 90% of the door is now sound deadened, so it's going to do its job. You could sound deaden this bar, I have seen that before, and it's going to make a bit of a difference, but really, if you wanted to treat that in some way, you could put some sort of, maybe the thin foam on there, possibly. just to maybe absorb some sound, but it's not really going to vibrate because the way it's shaped. It's not like the rest of the door. But you know, each their own. It's all good. No harm at all. So now we're going to wiggle the regulator panel back into place, making sure everything kind of relocates where it needs to. Plug this plug back in. Now sometimes, I can't remember if it's T6s or 6.1s, when you plug them back in, the alarm then goes off, so you just have your key nearby so you can unlock it and cancel the alarm. And then yeah, that's it really. We're just doing the reverse of what we did earlier. Gently wiggle everything back into place, just being careful of this foam stuff. It sometimes gets a bit chewed up on this metal edge, but you know, there's not a lot we can do about it really. Just kind of be careful. Once we're done, you know, wiggle this grommet back into place, and yeah, that's it really. So I'm just going to have a little play, try and get it all back in, and then we'll go from there. You never know, Matt might speed it up so it's not quite so painful to watch. Right, that's that done. Right, so panels all bolted back on. Remember to put my ground on for the FM antenna and also the ground for the main kind of door loom and everything. We're now going to put the ignition on, wind the window regulator up so it then catches the window, and the good thing is it will have dropped maybe like a millimetre, and we'll be able to just see it collect the window and it'll push it up slightly. We can then release the tape, and then we can gently wind it down back to where we've got our viewing holes here. We can then do up the two 10mm bolts nice and snug. Obviously you don't want to go crazy, you don't want to crack the window, but just nice and snug so it's all nipped. And then we'll go through and test it to make sure everything is happy, and then we'll be done. So ignition's on. Now I'm just going to lift the regulator up. I try to, until I know it's all working absolutely, I try to stay away from using the auto function and just letting it wind up and down just in case there is an issue. So now I'm just going to peel off the duct tape. That'll be enough. That won't get snagged. That'll be fine. Right, check that down there. Okay, so now we'll just gently lower the window down carefully, just in little increments. Make sure everything's happy. Sometimes the window kind of gets mildly stuck, so you just have to help it down, but hopefully it'll be all right. There we go. So it's got it. Go down. There we go. So we've got our bolts in our little windows here. What I like to do then is just make sure the window is sitting nice and kind of level and flat in its grabs, and then we can do those up. Sometimes just as you're pinching it up, the clamp might move slightly, so what you can do is just put a hand on the window to keep it sitting nice and straight, because you don't want the window to twist slightly in its little mounts. So you can just little hand on there, and we're just nipping it up like that. There we go. Right, and then we can wind the window up, again just in little increments. If it does have a problem, what it will do is it will reach, if there's too much resistance for some reason because it's not sitting right, it will reach a point and then just automatically come back down again. So, but we'll just go up gently, keeping an eye on it all. That's all good. Now we'll just work our way down. Seems to be all right. All the way up. There we go. 1, done window regulator. So had the regulator panel all off, it's all gone back in as it should do. We've bolted up the window again, and we've tested it and it's all working. So there you go, that's it. A little how-to on getting into the inside of your T6 door, taping up your window so it doesn't get stuck. And that's it really. Hope you enjoyed that, hope it's helpful, and we'll see you again soon for another how-to. Take care.